Hey everyone, I'm just gonna do a little bit of live streaming today, working on this promo for Ignition, and I posted it in a subreddit. I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, I think I could do better on some of these colors. So I'm gonna try a few things, mess around, tool around with it. There's even some lines I don't like today, so I am gonna play around with this for a while. And it's more or less just to get this where I'm happy with it. Um, and get back into the groove of things, you know what I mean? I might have to be plugged in to actually not have any lag on my pencil or my stylus. Just some lines I don't like. Sometimes you can accomplish something with color without having to put the line there. When I color my own work, sometimes I really forget to realize that I can do that. I think I want a curved line here. No, that's too much. Hey, what's up, Sam? Glad you came and joined me. And chat a little bit, answer some questions you might have about Ignition. God knows I love answering questions about a book I've been working on for a while now, but it just let's see how that looks. Eh, maybe I don't want. I do want a line there. I don't want this line to be so thick. Hey, what's up, Tank? Long time. I haven't talked to you in a while. You know we're still brothers, right? Let's see. So I'm going to be messing around with the inks, and I don't like this area over here. I'm one of those guys that thinks, you know what, you don't put unnecessary lines. It's really not worth it. Yes, it has been too long. I'm glad everybody can hear me. I got that out of the way. But I definitely want to mess around with the color and some of the inks. And it's just, why is this so? Right now I'm just using a smudging tool and getting rid of some of that hard line. I am definitely not one of those guys that likes the cut and grad style to be too much. I like the transitions to be a little smoother, but I may play around with a few things today that'll be a little reminiscent of the cut and grad. I need his eyebrows need to be in there. And if I do them in black, well, that's too thick. is it affecting that? Hmm. I want that shine to be there on the goggle. No, Ni no Kuni. What's ignition about exactly? Let's see. Let me give you the. Let's see if I can come up with the elevator pitch, because it changes. It has changed over time, and I wanted to do, you know, a comic that reminded me of the best of Spider-Man when he had, he was Spider-Man, right? And he had 99 problems, but being Spider-Man was not one of them. And this Ignition character you will see sort of in year two. Um, and he exists in a world where the whole first year of his time as a hero, it's been like, saving cats out of trees and doing, low level street crime. Man, these were really bad inks. So he was in low level street crime, right? Purse snatches, let's see, bank robberies. And that's basically what he's been doing his whole first year is stuff that he can handle in his sleep. Year two, the world turns upside down on him. And basically, the idea behind that is there was this hero that existed, who's not been seen in a long time. His name was the Mighty. And let's say the Mighty is super powered enough to be just like Superman, right? So the Mighty, uh, he just kind of got sick of all the fighting. Like, I gotta stop villains all the time and put them in jail. They escape, they get out, gotta stop them again 2 months later. Somehow they've gotten out or you know, gotten out on parole. And it's just a cyclical thing. I'm constantly, there's always a threat. And he knew he was powerful enough to get rid of that threat. So that's what he did. He went off the rails. Uh, he killed villains and heroes alike. And and some people went into hiding, right? When they realized, oh, the Mighty's really serious and he's gonna, he's playing for keeps. Some people went into hiding. And basically, year two, uh, that changes, right? That changes for my hero, the Ignition, and he starts to realize that he's no longer alone in this. Uh, there are superpowered beings, and they just have not been seen in a while. What the heck? I don't like that line. Let me do this again. The yellow bleeds over. I don't like this inking line. It's a little too choppy. So, year two, the whole universe changes for Ignition. And now he's in a much bigger game. And as far as the Mighty goes, I'm not giving anything away by saying he's obviously just enjoyed retirement. But doesn't mean, like I said, he went sociopath. So he's gonna see some things start to happen. Like he just ignored this guy, uh, Ignition taking care of low level crimes. He just didn't really give a dang about it. He figured, you know what? Better him than me. I don't have to stop any bank robberies. Let the guy have his fun. But once the universe changes and the guys that are still alive come out of hiding, heroes and villains alike, um, the mighty comes back, starts showing his face again. Now, Ignition may or may not be, tougher and stronger and, more powerful than the mighty. So the mighty might not have it as easy next time he wants to clean house. Man, when I did this, I must have did this really fast. There's some things in here that I can kind of tell that's sort of one of those tracer lines when you lift your pen up and go to your tools, which happens. But there's some things in here that are kind of hokey. I hope everyone will, you know what, I've been building this thing and working on it for a long time. And I go back and look at the pages I did even 8 months ago, and there's really nothing, I've tweaked a few things on those pages, on how I do, say, eyeballs and eye sockets and stuff like that. A few little things that I want to make look less realistic and sort of more comic booky. I know that's a weird phrase, but that's the idea, is just to do more, a style that's less realistic and suits superheroes better. As you can see on my the thing I have here on the sides, the streaming border. My style is becoming more and more suited for comic books of superhero nature. I've done a lot of street level stuff. It's usually people, that are in normal clothing, whether they be a detective or whatnot. And that's the kind of thing I get a lot of. So it's time for me to do some superheroes. And I look forward to that. Which way do I want to go with these lines? I think they need to go. Creates a little shadow to the side like it's supposed to. Maybe I need to bring this in here more. Around this back here. That helps. Thicken that shadow even a little bit more. I don't want to get rid of that much. Ooh, 2 months? You know what? 2 months is really not probably where I'll be at. Here's why, right? I I'm of the thought that you can't crowdfund floppies. If you're crowdfunding anything less than 40 pages, God bless you. That's not going to be my. I want to give you something that you want to put on your shelf, and it has such value to you that you'll revisit it. Um, so it's more in the graphic novel nature. That'll have, it's kind of what Doug TenNapel says. Give them something that they'll cherish, and then you'll have them as a customer for life. Even if you do a few things that, you know what, they may not like, uh, or be as like into as say Ignition. Maybe you do something later on, but because you're really out there trying your damnedest to give them a book that has some shelf life and has some value to them, they'll give you a shot and keep staying with you. Not everybody has hits. Not every movie that's made by a particular um, director is an absolute hit. M. Night Shyamalan has made a few bad movies. What was the one with the water? Woman in the something in the lake or in the water? I forget, but that was not a good movie. But some of his movies have been good, and I really liked Signs. But Signs has always had sort of one of those love-hate things with fans. So you don't always have the kind of luck, each time out. But you notice, yeah, granted, those movies might have gotten, you know, they probably did well their first week, but when people realized, oh, this is not as good as his last movie, then that word of mouth goes around, and their second week starts to slow down. But it's those initial fans that give you that shot right off the gate that that are really helpful. Now I'm gonna try some stuff in here. I'm gonna try some cuts and grabs just to see. It's gonna be some tricky stuff. Nope, I don't like the shape of that. What is this on? Foreground and background. Let's try it in there. So the sun would be coming this direction. Let's see how that looks. Not bad. I think I might try a little different. I think I may go bigger and then smaller. If you guys aren't familiar with the cut and grad style, oh, you're shifting your focus on lot. You should. You know what? I'm asking you to shill out a certain amount, right? That's going to include shipping, this, that, and the other thing, and the people involved. You want them to make money, right? Sometimes you look at a campaign, and it's a team of people, whether it be a writer, inker, artist, colorist, and their fixed goal is 5 grand. Well, if you know how much a book prints and you know how much it costs to ship, what did the people make? And if you think I'm in this game as sort of a hobby, um, there's a portion of it that's a hobby, but my own book, my passion, the thing that I'm putting everything I have into this is not the hobby part, right? The YouTube stuff, showing my work off, that takes a long time as it is. Consider that the part of the hobby is building the base. I'll build the base as a hobby, but when it comes to when I'm ready, I don't want to fail. So the book has to look a certain way. Um, I have to have, a decent game plan. My coloring ability needs to get better. The pages have to be stellar. I've taken the script for issue one, and it's a 22 pager, and I've turned it into 40 pages. And I've upped the stakes on it and done some things with it that script one and two will go up to about 80 pages, right? And granted, I didn't change the story, and I haven't changed, because I'm working with a writer. I haven't, I've added some nuance elements, and we'll see how it goes as far as the campaign. But I'm not in this. This isn't, there is no option of failure. So that's why I've always been very slow on the, you know, when it's ready and I'm ready to put it out there, I will either be done with it as far as black and white, and I'll be working on, and there'll be cut pages in color to show, and I'll be working on the coloring of finishing it off. So because you can't do all these, you can't wear all these hats and campaign. You can't be the artist and being, doing YouTube and campaigning at the same time. I can mix some of the YouTube in with the creation of the book, but I can't be in the middle of a campaign with my focus on shilling and meeting customers and doing all that. Um, it has to be something like, you're done now. This is this. This focus goes on to this. So coloring for me is a little bit cathartic. Um, so we'll see where that. I'm gonna do some bigger cuts. We'll see where that goes. You know what I mean? And you guys are watching experimentation, because I'm not completely in love with the cut and grad style. So I'm gonna try some things here. See, it works well at superhero books. I'm here. That's right. I know you're in the middle of moving. Um, can't wait till you're done and back to streaming and getting back involved. Definitely hope that goes well for you, Tank. Are you talking about making comics and doing all this, and campaigning is a science? Because if that's what you mean, I kind of agree. Um, so my light source is here. Let's try that. No, it has to go the other way, towards the light. Why does that look like the same? I want the light. Not bad. Let's see what that looks like. Nope, 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 nope. Too much. Let's see what that looks like. That's actually not too bad. But it's hitting a certain spot differently. So maybe I'm using the wrong grad. Foreground to transparent, or foreground to background. Whoa, that is strong. I think it's foreground to transparent. So powers. So Ignition's powers are, the best way to describe him is he's sort of a combination of Johnny Storm and Green Lantern. Johnny Storm can do a lot of things with his fire, but what he can't do is create constructs. So there's a supernatural element to Ignition, um, that is sort of the point B of the book, right? Without, I don't want to give away too much. So that element is the idea that he can create constructs with his fire. He's that much control over the fire, right? You've seen a version of him as my avatar where he's getting so hot that his skull glows through his skin. If your skull was white hot, um, and say your skin and your muscle, and it could take all that it's getting hot. You're not burning. There's a reason you're not burning up from the inside out, but your skull would show through. your skin and blood and all that stuff is somewhat translucent. So if you were white hot on the inside, you'd be able to see that. Even if it was just like all of a sudden your stomach got white hot, well, the light would kind of come through the skin a little bit. So that's the idea behind his skull, right? So you've seen that image, and that's just sort of the level to which he'll reach. But that's not the level where you'll meet him at or see him at first, you know. But you'll see that as he as he gets better at this, and as time goes on, and he gets more control over his powers, um, yeah, he will level up different stages that you've probably even you might have even seen a few of the avatars out there that I've used where he's just sort of on fire. If you look at the one with the skull on fire, he actually you can see. I mean, the skull glowing white hot. You can actually see that his hair has that sort of burning look, like it's on fire, kind of Johnny Storm-esque. Let's see how that looks. That's not bad. That's subtle. That's what I want. Okay, so what you end up doing is, so the round, you shrink these, right? So you cut away at them. Granted, remember, I'm just sort of testing stuff out here. So you make these cuts smaller. Oops. Smaller. Make this one a little smaller. And you do it some more. Well, it doesn't seem like it did much. See, when it gets too hard, my eye doesn't like it. That's why your cut needs to be bigger. And the bigger the pull, the less. That's actually not too bad. And then I go in here, and here's what I don't see a lot of when they do this in superhero books. Let's see. I don't want this hard of a line. I'm going to lower my smudge tool. I'm using a blend tool. And I'm going to smudge this up a little bit. I do not like the hardness on both sides. You know what I mean? Maybe it's too subtle. Maybe I'll do another cut. Why can't I get that round? Now I think what I need to do is start going lighter at the same time. And then you could come in here with these. I have a soft burning tool. And when you do that to the whole image, and you know, because of course I only did one little part, right? When you do this to the whole image, then you get that sort of effect. You know, people keep, you know, the idea is not to go in close to it and go, oh, you know, and figure it out. When you see this done, if you look at, you know, when you're looking at any image of Superman fighting Batman or whatever, and they use this cut and grab method, um, it's certainly not one of those things meant to go in close. It's, you're meant to go, oh wow, that's really stunning. That really works. And you got to do it like you do it everywhere. And you even do it with the blue, like the darks, right? So my um let me just complete this leg. Um I'm gonna trace along here. This is the leg. This is the part that's furthest from the light. And I'm gonna drop some of the purple that's in this. This is a, his costume is basically a grad, preset grad that goes from yellow to purple that I liked so much that I figured I would use to save time on coloring. Um, so let's see here. Let me. Oh no, it's gotta go. You don't want that. See, that's when it gets to be too much. And you can see that hard line. Now you can even go in there and just use an airbrush, right? And I don't want it that big, for love of Pete's sake. I don't want that. I want it a little bigger. But you definitely got to do this whole image. And again, I'm just kind of playing around. Just wanted to make this image pop more. And it will. It'll pop more. But it's not my usual method of coloring. What you end up doing is creating more form. It becomes more three-dimensional. And I'll tell you who I like who does it the best. You guys familiar with Jorge Jimenez, the artist, in the color? Is it Henrique? Oh, I don't want to mess up his name. Let me grab something. Jorge Jimenez. Basically, he's the guy who's doing Justice League right now. He did a few Batman things, but he came from Super Sons. Let's see if I can find a cover that'll say the colorist's name. What? Sanchez. And you can see some of the hard lines when you're using a very, oh, you can't see because I'm actually using OBS. I'll bring in a piece. I could bring a piece in. Bow, bow, bow. This guy's really good at it. Now you can see some of the hard line, which certain shapes that create shadow, you need that hard line, right? His arm is going across Batman's arm. It's what's creating that shadow. Oh, I just colored on it. The cut and grad stuff, right? You can see it in the arm. And he's basically, he's dropping shapes of color in certain spots, and the grad is very subtle. So it's a little darker along this line, right? And then lighter over here. But he's using a very subtle angle, and he may be only hitting it once. But you do see how there's a hard line in there. When you get up close, basically what you're seeing is just different shapes, and you're creating form. You're creating form and muscle, and basically form is what? The roundness of everything, creating the dimension. And I don't like when it's too hard. But it works. When does it work? When you're not looking at it up close and you see it as a full image and you go, oh wow, that's stunning. It is kind of stunning. And it's, some guys do it really, really well. Some guys are really risky at it. And some guys, they don't do it well and they try. And basically, I'm very picky at when I'm doing it. I don't want to create such a hard line. I want your eye, see how there is the line, like when you go in close, you see how there's that hard line. I want your eye to get rid of that. So if I were to go too yellow on top of there and it was too hard of a line, then it's just going to look like I threw shapes of color, and it really doesn't end up looking like form. And my eye just doesn't really dig it. So there's a little coloring lesson in cut and grad. If anyone ever wants to learn how to color, um, there's a lot of guys making really great videos right now. So I'm gonna take some more of these cuts. Now I should have done all this at. I don't like that shape. Cuts. What? Oh, I didn't have my. So the strength of the sun is hitting him from this side. I don't know what kind of shape I want there. Let's see, that muscle goes like this. So I think this needs to be a little bit rounder. Actually, that works. I'm gonna go back to my original two colors here. My color picker. Go back to here, my grad, and cut. So, because you're cutting on an angle, you see it affect the closest ones to the start of that cut a little bit more. What you can do, let me just check it. Wow, I like that. Okay. What you can do after that is, see, I want to keep those cuts, but I want a little bit more. I should have watched a brush up video. Right, Tank? I should have brushed up first. I want a little bit more light on these cuts. A little bit there. Let's see how that looks. Ooh, I like it. So then you're going to go in and you're going to shrink. You're going to shrink these cuts. Shrink them. I'm going to shrink that for sure. That. Oops, I want this to be round. I like it. A little bit more. And I'm going to move my white a little bit. You guys can't see me moving my tools because I don't capture that anymore. That's hence the whole idea behind the border. A little strong. A little too strong. Maybe just once. Okay, let's see how that looks. That's not bad. And then you're gonna do some more shrinking. That may be too much. Oops, went the wrong way with that. Let me take a little bit off of here. A little bit more. A little bit more. I'm not getting that right. Nope, 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 nope. There we go. A little bit more. Alright, so I'm going to try one more cut. Didn't really do anything. Not sure I like that. Maybe I need to go smaller up here. Let's try it again. It's going into an area I do not like. I think I might have done one cut too many. Go in there with some blending. Basically, when you're blending, you're pulling your paint around a little bit, softening any edges, and you can actually do some shaping and create sort of a dispensation of that color as it goes, as you stretch it. You know what I mean? And you can create some little happy accidents, because obviously muscle what is what fiber, and you can kind of pull some things. And when you step out a little bit, you still have the grad style, but maybe something I don't like about it. Let me try something. Burn this a little bit more over here. Then let me smooth this out a little bit. Too much. I think I need to do this right here. Nope. Let's see where was this. Pull some of this with my fingertip. I know I'm whispering, I'll always do that. Well, there is a lot. I mean, obviously, this is when it comes to all the different parts of a comic. If, for instance, if I don't do this to the whole figure, it's just not going to look right. So imagine his color being how yellow, it is on this shoulder. It's really going to have to burn kind of hot. And one thing you don't want to do is get into the white area, where you're burning it so hot that it's white, because it just doesn't exist in nature like that. There's always going to be something. Now, the easy thing I could have done, right, is I could have gone in here and I could have gone in here and what oh, done it like sort of cell shaded with two shell. You're only going with like three colors. You got your base color, you got your highs, and your basically your cools, or your warms and cools. But this character's idea of his costume is it runs from hot to cool, color wise. And that's why I can go in and take some of that color that I did before, which is in this area. Now I don't have to use the cut and grab method to get this across, but I don't know if you can see that. Really is the cool of this color is at that point. And if I use a sort of lighter, I have a bunch of brushes that are just set on different different blend modes or opacities, or basically allowing me to get the same effect as a cut and grad with a brush. And I want some of that in here. I know I should be cutting these out, and not going over the line, but I'm not so worried about that. Throw some of that purple because I created shadow with those lines. And you see how when you add the both, when like I've cut and graded everything with the highlights, but I'm smoothing and shadowing with the cools a different way. You can see how that is a complete different effect, and you don't have to necessarily, like what I did over here, you don't necessarily have to do that when it comes to the whole image. You can do the cools with the airbrush style. I could throw a little bit in there. And now this leg has that quality, sort of giving it a lot more form, more dimension. There's going to be some things you're going to want to make sure that you lasso and work with. I can create more cools in here though. And I'll go in and blend them. Pull that a little bit and change it. I'll go in there and bring back some of the orange in here. I got a question for you, Sam. Do you I always tell people, you know what, when they get into these circles and they like the idea of creating comic books, don't sit on the sidelines. Maybe you want to do one yourself. And I have some suggestions for that. Anyone who wants to do it themselves. Um, Oops, that's in the color. As you can see, the overspray I'm just getting rid of. Getting it back to white. I had thick enough lines and realized I could do that. And any little mistakes like this, you go in with your fingertip smudger and bring that right up to the line. That's another thing I do. Sometimes I'll just go in there with a nib, an inking nib, and just sort of trace. Not trace. Bring that color in there deeper. closer to my black lines. Just giving a little bit more pop. So Sam, you think you want to get off the sidelines and maybe put together a team and make a comic? Doing these cuts in this yellow are going to be tricky. I may need to do one. If I can get away with not having to do. Too much. Well, I hope that when Ignition comes out, that it takes a village, right? The idea of sharing and because you're part of FanSpeak, and when it goes live, sharing and tweeting it out there and stuff like that, that all helps. It definitely helps the algorithm. Definitely helps. You might have some people that are friends of yours or followers of yours that don't know about the show, um, and they're part of your feed. You know, really don't like the obviously Facebook algorithm is a little tricky. So I'm gonna trace. I better trace this line because I'm gonna create some shadow under his belt. I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna do it. Might want to come in here. Might want to come in here. Get rid of less of that. Less of that. So I'm gonna try this once. See how this works. Like I said, I should have watched a refresher video. Oh, it's not bad. Should have traced that better, but I can fix some of that. Actually, I like it quite a bit. Then I'm gonna go in and fix my fix my cuts. I actually like that. That was actually pretty cool. So this one would not follow here. I'm gonna get rid of that. Right, I'm gonna get rid of some of this. I'm gonna add here. Glad you like Fanspeak. The only thing that I feel like lately is some of these guys, like when you don't know something, like you hear about something, right? Um, I think there'd be a little bit of dark in here. When you hear about something coming out, say, oh, they're gonna reboot $6 Million Man, but you don't know any of the details. You don't know who's gonna play $6 Million Man, and you obviously, you're like, oh wow, that was really a part of my childhood. You want to talk about it, but you bash it before it even gets viewed, before you learn any details. Um, that's not really me. You know what I mean? I have a hard time with that. Now, of course, there's certain situations where, yeah, I can sit here and talk about uh, the Vision Scarlet Witch series because we kind of know the characters. They've given us some of that in the movies. They're using those actors. Uh, so there's something to talk about there. There might be something I go, you know what? I'm either happy or I hope they don't do this particular thing because you have some baggage that goes with it. But I don't really necessarily bash something because I think it's automatically going to have some kind of SJW slant to it. It's just not me. You know what I mean? I think I'm already starting to see a trend of things go away from that, and I think that is making me happy. I made some posts today uh, about hearing some rumors at Marvel that they have something that they're talking about that they're calling Marvel Knights 2. What does that tell you? The Black Label is actually working for DC, and that the Black Label is, profitable, more profitable than what? Than the garbage, the books that they've been pushing them all towards diversity and girls being out front. Well, DC's sort of listening and seeing that it wasn't, it was an experiment that could have went really bad, right? Because the bat penis thing could have really just killed that. And you know what? They were lucky that they had another book that they were slapping the Black Label on to come out pretty quickly. And they're, of course, lucky that they thought to, I don't know if anyone realizes, but they thought to go, hey, when this White Knight book comes out on trade paperback and hardcover, we want to put the Black Label on it. And now the curse of the Black Label is, the curse of the White Knight is part of the Black Label. And that was smart because they knew that book would be successful, and obviously a lot of people are chomping at the bit for this guy to join the whole crowdfunding thing. So they were smart, and now DC's going. Now Marvel's going. You know what? Hey, maybe those loyal fans that we thought were getting too old will buy some books if we do some mature books for them. And that's basically all that, all that is let's make a line of books for those old fans that we thought were just getting too old for us. Because they seem to be buying crowdfunded books over there in those arenas. Let's see how that looks. That's actually not too bad. I think I need a little bit more purple in this whole area, so I'm going to pull it. I'm going to use my blending tools and just bring it over there. Why am I bringing some white? What the heck? I'm going to use my fingertip tool to bring. So let's see now if I can blend a little bit. Whoa, why'd that pick up so much purple? Now when I get in closer, actually I can use, here's another little technique that you do sometimes. I want it closer along the line. I'm using a water brush. Opaque. It's on opaque. And it might be a little thick. It'll create that illusion that closer to the hard shadow line, that it's a little darker. It doesn't put it down super heavy, you know. Oops, I went over the line a little bit. This is by no means, you know, I mean, this is not a class in coloring. This is definitely not a class in coloring. It's just some of these little things that I do. And I don't think the line would be as hard in here. Wow, picked up a lot of. Funny how I see some areas of black of the inking lines that I don't like. Yeah, and you know what? This live streaming stuff, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not watching myself or anything. As long as people can hear me and I know that, I'm good. Uh, I'm not necessarily doing it for uh, hoping to get any number of people in here. I'm just doing it because ignition is something I want to get in people's minds, right? And what is this? So how do those legs look, huh? Let's see. Pops a little bit. I think there needs to be some. Whew, almost forgot to do that. I think there needs to be some light, a little bit more light on his foot. But it can't run into the shadow, so you gotta do... There. Let's see. That's not bad. I don't want to overdo it. What's up, babe? Wow, I haven't seen your name in a while. Actually, no, I have. I might want to blend this line in a little bit. Might be too hard. Not bad. Just trying to give these this a little bit more form, Abe. He's a little cut and grad with a little bit of smoothing out with blending and that kind of a thing. I think I lost a little too much. Let me go back to my watercolor tool. I think I lost a little too much of this. Not bad. I think I may cut with some cools first before I go try to highlight this upper body. So let me see here. Let me go in here and spray some first. Too big. Yeah, I like my border. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm willing to make them for other people if they stream, but I didn't get any takers. And I got a few more things to make. I think I might make a be right back or stream starting soon transition, um, and create sell more of a package instead of just a border. Maybe people would be more interested in buying a whole package of assets. You know what I mean? That might be too much in there. Maybe I can pull some yellow back in there. Yeah, I didn't expect. I made my border and I gave it sort of a little bit of a theme. I wanted it to have sort of an element of things I like about Japan and characters that I think of a little bit. There's a little bit of cherry blossom in there and stuff like that that I've, without giving away too much about me, that I've always had an appreciation and affinity for. And I will be doing a few, like I'll have a Halloween one, and I'll be doing a few other ones. So I think when I have a few that I've done and a few other assets, like adding to this one, I almost did it one the other day, like the Be Right Back one, and I was thinking about using Storm Shadow, because I've drawn Storm Shadow a few times and colored a few Storm Shadow pieces and stuff like that. And we'll see. I'm not really liking something. I'm not really liking. What am I on? Blend? I'll pull some more of the yellow away from. Bring in some more of the orange to create more of a harder line. Then I might touch this one more time. With something. Too much. That's not bad. Maybe a little smaller. Did I overdo it? I think I might have. much. Let me back out, see how that looks. Let me back up the chat a little bit and read what? I bought a comics package from a guy named Scott Circlin at a discounted promo price. When I get I would like to have some live stream images to put up. So your idea sounds solid. Well, the idea of making a package, oh, let me explain it, right? You tell me what you want, you know? And then, yeah, I'll finish up mine and create a few little extras for it. You know, maybe it'll be four things, right? It'll be it'll be what you see, this border. It'll be back soon. Uh, streamer or no, be right back. Streamer starting soon, and then like a technical difficulties thing. So that would be the four things, and like that would be the package I would sell. Now, if people wanted to add to it, like hey, because there's other things that people have when they're streaming. Um, but when you're using OBS, you don't want to overload it with different scenes and stuff and things that you have to manually control. If you have a nice what do they call it, Stream Deck, that'll automate those things for you. Um, that'd be kind of cool. You know what I mean? I have a little bit of automation with mine, but I forgot when I started um, to set it all up. You know, I got myself set up to do what I was going to do today, and then I sort of went from there. I'm going to try something to see how this is going to look when I actually do some cuts in here. Jeez, I might actually leave that. I could do a small ones. What's in here? Too much. Sometimes when you touch down, you get too much. You kind of have to have your stylus moving and then touch. Because the touch down will create a circle. So you want to kind of be on the move. I think it's about it in there. I might not do anything else in there, because it's going to be hard to do it in, to create more cuts. But let's try one. Let's try a cut. Let's see. We're going to go in here. Right. And I definitely need some really light. Let's see how this looks. You can't even see it. If I smooth this out a little in this area, bring some of the... That's not bad. Let me try another cut. Shrinking it a little bit. No, that's not perfect, but it's See how that looks from far away. Hmm. It's not too bad. What do you guys think? Um, the initial design of this character, the first thing that it is, right? When I go in and I do the costume, I pick my light source. This is a built-in. You can't see it because the the tools are covered up. But let me see if I can do something real quick. Overlay. I gotta shut the overlay off. It still doesn't show my tools. Okay. Anyway, there is a built-in in Clip Studio. Abe, there is a built-in gradient, and it's called Sunset Glow. And the very first thing I do is get all my areas of costume, and then let me create a little block because I should have a little block, which will help, right? Sunset Glow, and if I go across the block, that doesn't give me any of the yellow. Um, okay, there it is. That's my costume, right? The coolest areas are purple, dark purple, and the warmest areas are this white, hot yellow, and then it graduates. So, um, that's basically to save me time. Now, basically, you go in there, and so I pick. Basically, what I did is I have all the whole costume, and I do that gradient in a direction, and that direction probably came from the top of his head to um, just let me make a quick little line that you can see. It probably came here and went that way, right? And that created the majority of what you see by just doing that. Of course, you keep pulling and pulling, and you go, oh, that's not right, that's not right, and it takes a little bit. But that's the good thing about a gradient, um, is when you have everything lassoed that you want to be the gradient, it'll just do that. It'll go over itself. Um, Basically, it's almost like a redo, and that's the genesis of that. That was to save me time coloring the figure. And of course, now I just go in and manipulate it. And I'll even go in close. I've used some sort of, in here, these are sort of, what do you call them? There's like brushes that have some tooth to them, right? I have a few sponges. I could go into the orange area or pick this area, maybe. I can pick this and kind of show you, you know, that's basically, I either use some kind of sponge or I use something else, but get a little bit of orange in there. Oops. The thing with the sponges though, they don't come to a point like I like, and that's just a preference. Actually, I can go in there with some purple, so I'm going to go with the sponge. And put this on the purple. I can come in there, the same tool, create a little more of that shadow. Maybe there'd be some there. I better go in with orange first. Let me throw some more orange over here. You, you could do it with different brushes, but I think that's what I used on some of it. And this is basically why I'm even messing with this piece, is I put it on a subreddit, and when I was looking at it, I go, oh my God, do I want that to be the first image that people see of ignition on this Reddit thing? And so I thought I'd play with it and make it better. And then, I left that post up, but I thought, you know what, I'll go in and make this better. I'm a better colorist today than I was the day I did this. At least I think so. Now, this is going to have to be. I'm going to go in there and spray in this area, so I get a little bit more control. Oops. More orange needs to come out here. Blend this. Dude, if you ever want any help with the Clip Studio stuff, I've always said that I'd help anybody out. I do not like some of this yellow that's in here. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't have to cut this stream and finish this up because I have to get ready for something. I gotta leave the house. Oh my God. No, go see my dad. He's still in the hospital, but he's doing good. He's doing fine. So I'll do some more of these cuts later. It's not my favorite style, but it works for superheroes. And I should, like I said early on, I should have done some refreshers to sort of help me out a little bit to get this looking right. There's some things I like about it, and I'm okay with it. But it's definitely not something I've done in a while. It's been so long since I took the class at Comics Experience, and my teacher was Chris Sotomayor. Comics Experience is an online class, but you do it like we do Hangouts. Um, so if you ever, and there's other online classes where you don't talk to anybody, you would just follow along the videos and then execute the applications. Um, but Comics Experience is with they have writing, drawing, uh, digital painting classes. Man, I really want to take the Scott Johnson class over there. He's phenomenal. He does all the stuff that you would see on merchandise for Marvel. That looks like the movie characters. Not when they use an image that isn't a photograph, and they use the likeness of the character, but it's a digital paint. You can tell that's all Scott Johnson, and he teaches a class over there. And I'd really love to take that class at Comic Experience, but I took a coloring class, and we did the cut and grad stuff on Greg Capullo's Batman work, and I don't think it lent itself to his style that well. Because he likes his stuff colored. He likes his stuff colored more flat, right? More subtle. And so knowing the artist, knowing the type of color he likes on his work, I'm doing this style that doesn't really fit him in my head. So you're taking this class and you're learning to do these cut and grads, and you're going, this when I saw this colored, I know how it looked. You're doing pages that they give you. Um, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I'll cut out, but yeah, if you want help, Abe, if you want help, you know how to contact me. Um, and I'd go and hang out with you and show you around Clip Studio on some things that trust me, there's things I still learn. There's some things like bringing in scanned artwork. For years, I did it wrong. For years, when I colored all that stuff in that coloring book, is that children's book I colored in some of those videos. That's when I actually had figured out I was doing it wrong. So for years, I had been coloring that guy's work with his scanned images, and all the smudging and stuff was there. And I now know how to get rid of all that stuff. So anytime you want to get together and I'll show you around, just let me know. Okay, everybody, I appreciate anyone who was watching. I thank you for commenting, guys, and talking to you while I was doing this. It keeps me uh, engaged. Um, and if no one had come, it doesn't mean I wouldn't have done it. I would have just sat here and hummed like I do and made little sound effects. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot. Take care.